first game breaks, no get you know it up, put on more speed. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the games after this win in. First year again, we're here for the first May. Can everybody keep it there 6 minutes?
Rocky Top! You'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city, great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
The culture that Hype and everyone has created in this building, it's been phenomenal on teams, and we're only going to continue to be better. And the standard around here, I've said it before, I'll say it again, standards to be the damn best. And we're never stopping.
Doesn't have to be perfect, ain't gonna be perfect. We go compete for 60 freaking minutes. All right, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the environment, and then go play our butts off, play for one another, and have a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody got me?
Yes,
all right.
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top, down in the Tennessee hills.
Do you remember when we fell in love? I remember, don't worry. Do you remember? I remember how it all began. How could I ever forget? It's the first time. Do you remember? I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. I can feel it. I can feel it, I can feel it, it's coming in the air now. Oh, no, we fell in love, you remember time. How could I ever forget? You remember time. Oh, no, we fell in love, you remember time. How could I ever forget? Coming in the air now.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Got a fun show. It's going to be a laid-back show this morning. Hope you guys are ready for that. We got Cainer in the house. We're going to be putting a big fat bow, a big fat ribbon. What do they say? What's the old saying? We're going to talk about UTSA, and then we're going to put it in the rearview mirror and start to look ahead to South Carolina. BVD decided to let me know about 30 minutes ago that he's not going to be on the show this morning. So, full transparency, going to be a laid-back back half of the show. We're going to hang out with you guys. You guys are going to be my co-host. You guys are going to be my wingman because you guys are always here. I can always count on you guys to be in the chat. Speaking of the chat, let's see who is here. Noah James in the house says, morning, man. What is up, my friend? Dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Cainer's emoji has the best hair of every emoji that's in there, man. That's the best looking emoji is definitely Cainer's. AGR 270 in the house says, morning, folks. What is up, brother? Coach Jay is here, says, I'm awake. Start the show already. The kids in the house. What's up, Elijah? Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Bob King is here. What's up, Bob? Who else we got? We got Heath Perry watching on Facebook. Good to see you in the chat. David Michael is here. Negaval is in the house. Papa J is here as well. Crystal is in the house and says, good morning. Chris Brown is here. Says, any word on Danico Slaughter? Well, I've got a big question for Cainer about injuries. We'll see what type of updates he can give us on that. Let's hit some super chats. Papa J drops a $10 super chat. Appreciate that, brother. Says, Mr. Call-In Show had 30 youth over from church and a 180-foot water slide. What could go wrong? Are you on crutches today, Papa J? Did you happen to go get an MRI? Did you see Joe Milton at the hospital when you got an MRI? That's what I need to know. Those are the pressing questions. Noah James for 2 says, Dorothy, GBO, this is going to be a good week, boys. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Donovan is here. Donovan drops $5. Wait. Let me hit that one in just a second. Let me hit this one for 10. Donovan says, I hope when one of our defensive linemen knocks down Rattler, they look at him like Jerry Bertier. Gary Bertier of Remember the Titans and say, you better get comfortable down there. Go Vols, time to cook a chicken. Yeah, maybe I need to go. Maybe we should just shut this stream off and go watch Remember the Titans. That sounds like a fun way to start our Monday morning. Shout out Robert Lunsford for becoming a member of the channel. Appreciate that support, my man. You guys can be a part of that. Hit that join button down below. It's just $1 a month. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. What do I want to do? Where's the clip? Where is the clip? Here's the clip. Let's get Cainer in here and talk some football.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Cainer?
Good morning. What's up, man?
It is a good morning. It's a good morning to be alive and well right here in East Tennessee, talking Tennessee Vols football. I'm going to just throw this super chat at you because Donovan paid $5 to ask you a question. I figured I would ask this question. We'll jump into it.
Dude, Donovan's the man. He's with us on the
everywhere.
Rockets Rewind every week.
He is everywhere. He is all over the internet supporting us all. Donovan is the man. He says, Eric, what is Tennessee's record out of the next 4 games? Dylan Sampson is our best running back, period. End of story. He is electric and dynamic. What's your record? Next 4 games, what do you got? South Carolina, Texas A&M. Why am I struggling with the schedule so much? You look like you are too. So watch this. Let's put it on.
I've got it right here. It's at Alabama, at Kentucky.
Okay, there we go. Next 4 games.
I mean, if you allow me to, have the cop-out answer here, I think we'll know a lot more after this week. Obviously, I mean, Tennessee's only challenge so far has been against Florida, and that was not good. And of course, it was on the road. I don't think playing at Bryant-Denny is going to be quiet. Even playing at Kentucky, I don't think it's going to be super quiet. It's not going to be like, playing at Florida, in my opinion. But we'll know a whole lot more after this week. But let's stay optimistic, right? I mean, let's go 3-1. Get Tennessee some wins at home. It's going to be a challenge, but get Tennessee to win at home against South Carolina. Where's A&M at right now? Where are they at quarterback? Obviously, some injuries there, but Max Johnson came in, and boy, that pass he threw over 2 defenders in the back of the end zone, that was pretty. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm being too optimistic here. Maybe 2 glass half full. We'll go 3-1. As far as Dylan Sampson, he's the man. I like Jalen Wright. I think Jalen Wright is RB1. I think that he is the best Tennessee has, but Dylan Sampson's the second best, and his vision's so good, his burst, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Need more Dylan Sampson, I agree. Dylan Sampson's looking good so far.
Ryan Brock with a $2 super chat. Appreciate that, brother. Says, can't stay long. Here's my door fee, GBO. Hey, Ryan, always come back and watch the replay, my man. If you guys can't stay for the live stream, I know a lot of you catch it on the rewind. I appreciate that just as much. Let's jump into this thing. We're going to know more Saturday. It feels like we've been, last week the stakes got bigger, or last year the stakes got bigger every week. It's like, oh, this is a big game, big game. This year the theme, and we're only a month into this thing, but the theme is we're going to find something out this week. And every week we come out of it with more question marks. We called the UTSA game a bounce-back game. Tennessee had to bounce back and respond. I personally think they did. I think a 45-14 win. You covered the spread. You did what you were supposed to. Of course, you went through that little slump in the third quarter. But how would you grade Tennessee on a bounce-back game this past Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect. It's never going to be perfect, and we'll get into the lull there because that's very noteworthy because for the second week in a row, you didn't play a quarter. You didn't play the second quarter against Florida, and a competent team scored 4 touchdowns on you in a row in that quarter. You didn't play in the third quarter, and in the blink of an eye, it was 31-14. But to your point, and I completely agree, there was a lot of good that came out of this game. I mean, my number one key was be the bully. You're Tennessee. You're playing an inferior opponent. Go do what you're supposed to do. Don't be nice about it. Go out there and beat the crap out of them. And Tennessee did that. 2 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes, 31-0 at the half. Tennessee was the bully. Tennessee was the aggressor, so I like that a lot. They put some things on tape that they needed to put on tape. They needed to show Joe Milton's ability to run the football. I don't think anybody saw an 81-yard touchdown on play number 1, but you got it on tape now. That means defenses have to pay attention to it. They have to respect Joe Milton keeping it in the zone read, something that to this point defenses haven't because Joe hadn't shown the ability or Tennessee hadn't shown the ability for Joe to keep that in the play. I like a lot of what we saw on defense. Tennessee had 4 sacks, 7 TFLs. Tennessee got back in there, got the football, 3 turnovers. That was good to see. So, again, you could have sat there and kind of wallowed in your pity. You could have sat there and kind of folded your arms and everything because it was so embarrassing the week before. But you came home. The crowd was great. Tennessee jumped out and did exactly what it was supposed to do. And now you head back into SEC play. And your tweet this morning says they won big, but are they ready for SEC play? We'll see, but they responded the way they needed to respond on Saturday against UTSA.
It's so hard because I feel like when you talk about it, and I know you do this a lot too, it's like you always have to defend yourself. Well, I get it. I understand this scenario, that scenario, because, Tennessee was without Gerald Mincey last week against the Gators, and they struggled to run the football. He's back this week against UTSA. They ran for, 300 yards against UTSA? So it's like, how much was that a factor, and how much of it is just competition, right? It's like that's why we're going into Game 5 still saying, I don't know. And not to bury the lead, we'll talk about South Carolina coming up at the end of your segment, but I like Tennessee's odds to run the football. Gerald Mincey's going to be out there. Will Cooper Mays be out there? We'll get into that in just a second. Offense, back in sync, man. It felt to me for the first time all year, in that first quarter, that felt like what Josh Heupel's offense was supposed to be. The tempo. They were going quick. They were playing fast. They had some explosive plays. Of course, it helps when you just mentioned Joe Milton. It helps when your quarterback houses one, goes 81 yards on the first play. All of a sudden, things are clicking a little bit better. What'd you think of the offense across the board, how they played? Kind of a tale of two halves, right? Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, but even in that second half, whenever you just didn't show up for that third quarter, you came back, you scored 2 touchdowns, and then you got Nico and the second team in. And granted, Nico and the second team should have been in way earlier. I hear you, but at least you came back, responded the right way, and then you handed the keys off. My number one key to victory, if you will, was be the bully. My number 2 key was let's see that operation. Let's get that operation back to looking like a Josh Heupel offense. And you're exactly right. In that first half, that looked like a Josh Heupel offense. Yes, here I am defending myself. Inferior opponent. Yep, I recognize that. You don't have to deal with crowd noise. I get all that. However, you were running plays at a fast clip. You were going at a lightning speed. Looked like all of them was setting that tempo. And even at the end of the day, when you look at the final stats, Tennessee only ran 66 plays, and it's like that's the third straight week Tennessee's not gotten in the 70s. However, you scored 45 points. You made the most of your plays. Tennessee was averaging over nearly 8 yards a clip, play. And so you were going and being productive. 4 of the 7 scoring drives had happened on 4 plays or less. I think Brent Hubbs had a note in one of his pieces yesterday that you had 4 scoring drives that happened in 90 seconds or less. I mean, that's Tennessee. Like, that's getting back to seeing what Tennessee's all about. And again, if you don't have your tempo, kind of what are you at this point? Going into last game, you were a bad offensive line with a mediocre quarterback. And so you need that tempo. You need that tempo for sure. As far as, getting some guys back and heading into South Carolina week, you're right. I don't think we truly know what Tennessee can be because you haven't had such a key piece to your offensive line the entire year. Do you get him back this week? I think there's a good chance. And kind of what do you look like as he continues to get in shape? You got to like your chances of that offensive line and this offense overall more with Cooper Mays than what you've seen without him.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. Cooper, Austin Price over at VolQuest put out an article yesterday. I think it was last night, talking about Cooper. A little bit more details. Everybody's been asking questions. Of course, the GQ is a nightmare. It's freaking conspiracy theories every day on there. Cooper's being soft, all this stuff. So it's almost like, okay, here's some facts. We're going to give you some facts. Cooper had a triple hernia procedure, also had an abdominal wall tear repaired back in the second week of August. This is all coming from AP's article over at VolQuest. Given a 6-week recovery time, which ended in the middle of last week, he was cleared for the Florida game, but he had not been going through full practice. Went through first contact this past week preparing for UTSA. You think we're finally going to see Cooper Mays? And again, I get excited seeing that tempo back. It was a little glimpse. And again, Gerald Mincey, right? Gerald Mincey comes back. You run the football for 300 yards. I get it. Opponents, whatever. You can say whatever. They ran the football for 300 yards regardless with Gerald Mincey. Now you add Cooper Mays back for South Carolina. If you had to bet, you're placing a bet on Cooper Mays. Think he's going to be out there on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm placing a bet, and again, this is Monday morning and things can change. We'll see how they look like on the grass. Check at the end of the week, all the other coach talk stuff Josh Heupel says on Thursdays. I would say, yeah. I mean, I do. And again, it's been that he'll be out for a couple weeks. Best case scenario, get back by the Florida week. I personally thought, a couple weeks ago that UTSA was when you were going to see his return. But I mean, he's been close. He's been working. He's been, dressing out. He's been on the sideline. He's been doing as much as he can. And I think this is finally the week that you're going to see him. Now the question is, how much will he play? Is there going to still be a rotation there at center as he works himself to kind of getting back in shape? My phone is going ballistic right now. I'll throw it on the floor. As he's working to get himself back in shape. We'll see. But I think there's a good chance you're going to see Cooper Mays. I'm not reporting that right now, but I think there's a good chance you're going to see Cooper Mays this weekend. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. And then again, kind of see what you got. That's a lot of work to be done in the month of August. And when I was thinking about this yesterday, I remembered when Cooper Mays stopped practicing, that was still during the acclimation period, if I'm not mistaken. So realistically, he has not had full contact yet until last week. Period. Right. Not any in camp because again they were hitting, they were running, they were doing their offense and everything, but full contact, full pads. I guess last week was probably his first time doing that the entire time. So again, it's a long process back, and he's been careful and he's been and all that as he should, because I mean that's a lot of work to be done. I know we called it a minor procedure, or Heupel called it a minor procedure, but there's a lot of work to be done, and he's been careful, and he's getting back strong, and I think that there's a good chance you can see him this week.
Smoky Mountain Red says this.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Well played.
You heard it here first from Eric Cain of VolQuest.com. Cooper Mays will start on Saturday. I would, get him out there and get him some play. I don't know that he would start. Maybe, he runs with the twos, get him some playing time. I don't know. I just think this offense can be so much better, clearly, obviously, with him out there. A lot of other injuries took place on Saturday. I know you guys reported from VolQuest. If it was a big-time game, a lot of these guys would be back. What do you think the status is? Jalen Wright, Joe Milton, Ramel Keaton, Aaron Beasley, John Campbell, Dominic Bailey. A lot of guys banged up. You think most of these guys give it a go this week as well?
I would assume so. And again, I'm not a coach. I'm not a doctor. We're still just a couple hours out from that game, so we'll learn more as the week goes on. But I mean, when you see Brew McCoy in every single huddle, jumping around on the sidelines with his helmet on, looks like Brew McCoy's okay. You see John Campbell didn't have his helmet, but John Campbell was engaged out there every single huddle on the sideline. Looked like John Campbell was okay. Aaron Beasley kind of the same way. Ramel Keaton got his bell rung. We'll see. Jalen Wright got his bell rung. I think both those guys are going to be fine. I talked to somebody after the game about Jalen Wright, and I think he's going to be fine. But looked like he got his bell rung a little bit. So those you really just kind of have to wait and see kind of as the week goes on, day by day, how they kind of respond. There were plenty more that got hurt. They're not off the top of my head. I can't remember anybody else. But overall, I think that the majority of those are going to be just fine. And we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some reports as the week goes on. But like Brew, John Campbell, Aaron Beasley, I think those guys for sure are going to be okay.
Yeah, Ramel Keaton, watching it live, I thought it was a shoulder the way he came down. And then when I did my rewatch yesterday, man, it looked like he went out. Like it looked like his head, because when he hit, his head hit first, and then his neck looked like he was unconscious.
Like I'm sitting there and I'm watching that like with you in the replay as well, and not to go Uncle Rico and everything, but like back in my day. When I played, man, I one time I slapped my head off the turf. I had a turf stain on my helmet, and I remember going out. I mean, I got knocked out a little bit, and I was out for I don't know how many seconds or whatever, but it was more than 5 or 6. But I got up and I took my helmet off and looked at my helmet. And there was a turf stain on my helmet. I'm like, good God, how hard did I just hit my head on this surface? And that's all I could think about when I was watching that replay when he's coming in, giving a great effort. That was a good ball by Joe Milton, yeah. Great effort. And you're coming down on the ground, and he kind of lands on the ball, then his head smash. It just, oh, man, it looked disgusting, and I know that hurt. And so, man, I'm thinking about Ramel Keaton. God, you just know that hurt. And he was down there for a little bit, and understandably so.
The real question is, you went right back in the game, didn't you? Didn't miss anything.
Oh, my idiot self. Yeah, it didn't come out because I'm stupid. Yeah.
It's funny you saying back in my day, but it was true, man. Like saying you got your bell rung, that means you have a concussion. But back in the day, you just kept playing. Like you didn't come out. Like, oh, it's a different time. Noah James for 5. Appreciate the super chat. Says, Eric Boogie wanted to tell you your emoji has great hair. Don't think he didn't see it. I could see him in the back room, and he immediately started doing this, rubbing that hair when I said
Oh, I
that.
saw it. I loved it. I love that emoji. You guys keep it up.
It was everybody's emoji has a focal point, and it was like when my stepbrother was doing yours, it was like he was so focused on the hair. The hair had to be just right.
Somebody had a thread on the GQ last week. They were bashing us. Saying, what does the VolQuest staff know? That the closest thing we have to a football player in the VolQuest staff is Eric, and he's a baseball guy and a hair guy. And I was like,
that's a compliment.
I love that. Thank you.
Think you're insulting him? That's a compliment. Coach Jay with a good question. That's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to see full Joe or reserved game plan Joe. I want to talk about Joe Milton. Started off really good, 14 of 19, 156, had the long touchdown run, 3 total touchdowns before the injury. Goes down, gets sacked. He was not the same after that. I still thought he threw some good balls. This coaching staff took some shots Saturday night. They were throwing the ball deep. They were letting it fly. I enjoyed it. Finished the day, 18 of 31, 209, 89 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns. But you talked about Joe running the football early, right? The very first play, how defenses are going to have to prepare for that. 2 rushing attempts for first downs in the first 3 games. 46 yards rushing in the first 3 games. House call, 81 yards right out of the gate. Are we going to see Joe? Because I don't know what the magic number is. Joe needs to run the football more for this offense to really be clicking. And he doesn't have to be Hendon Hooker. Hendon was so elusive. We saw Joe, and I can't remember who. Oh, it was Jonathan Crompton. I was listening to him talk about it. He's like, I'm going to piss everybody on the internet off. Hendon Hooker gets caught from behind on that play. Joe Milton outruns everybody on the football field. He's got good top-end speed. He's just not as elusive. He's got to run the football, but do you think he's going to be limited because of the knee injury?
We'll see. How much will that kind of nag him? Man, when he went down, he immediately grabbed that knee, and everybody in the press box like, oh no, oh wow, that's what you don't want, because at that time they were up like 28-0, whatever it was. It's like, good grief, man, like that is not what you want. And then he comes back, and it was a quick change of possession. He goes to the tent, and then it's like, all right, you're going to see Nico, and Joe just runs back out there. Finishes that half, and then you go in, and then Tennessee's up 31-0. I understand UTSA came back and made it 31-14. I understand all that, but you didn't know that at the time. You were up 31-0, and the entire team just kind of didn't have the right mindset out of the halftime. But you're up 31-0. Your starting quarterback comes up with a noticeable limp and a brace on his left knee, and you put him back in the game. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? That just made no sense to me. So I don't know. We'll see. Brent Hupp said on the Rocky Top Rewind last night, and I couldn't agree more. That picture of Joe getting the MRI and everything, was that Saturday night? Was that Sunday? We don't know. He was probably not the only one to get an MRI after the game. It's very common nowadays. I believe that was to, really out of precaution more than anything. But we'll see how that knee tweak, if you will, kind of bugs him. But he needs to run. That doesn't need to be a huge part of his game, but that needs to be an option. You need to have defenses respect the ability for the quarterback to keep it and run. That way it takes one guy out of the play. And, of course, on 3rd and short, on 4th and short, that is an option. That's where Hendon Hooker was so good, because on those 3rd and shorts, he was an option to run and go get that first down, especially on the zone read. And so Joe needs to have that as well. As far as Joe throwing the ball, man, he was so good to begin the game. I know it was a lot of horizontal stuff that we've been seeing here lately, and I still believe a lot of the play calling is being affected by the protection. Not all of it, but I think a lot of it is. I think that's why you're seeing a lot of horizontal. But he was 14 of 16 for 159 yards and a pair of touchdowns, 3 total touchdowns. And then he went through that 0 for 8 stretch. And in the midst of that 0 for 8 stretch is when he had the knee tweak. Certainly ending the game after the knee tweak, he went forward 12 for 53 yards. So I think that played a little bit in there. But even some of those balls in that 0 for 8 stretch, they were good balls. I mean, they were. You had to miss a squirrel in the end zone that you really want to have back. Maybe anybody else on the team that's just a couple inches taller could have made that catch, but still, that ball's too high. But the one to Nimrod that was a 50-yard bomb, good ball. The one to Romel Keaton, middle of the field, good ball. McAllen Castles drops one. That was a good ball. The one to Romel Keaton in the first half in the north end zone, that was a really good play by the defensive back. But then there were some really bad throws in there, like missed squirrel wide a couple of times down the seam. Just really, really bad throws. Miscommunication with Dante Thornton that we believe it was more on Dante Thornton. So you've just got to avoid that lull, because if you have a lull like that against South Carolina, you might lose the game. Overall, I thought Joe played fine. I hate that his completion percentage dipped down to 58 because of that lull. but I thought he did a lot of good things. I thought that he made a lot of good throws that weren't completed, and I thought Tennessee's offense overall looked more like Tennessee. But again, easier said than done. You've got to avoid that lull as an offense, as a team, and as a quarterback, because that's what gets you beat a la Florida last week.
Sometimes we overreact, though, right? As fans, we overreact. The score was 45-14, and we freak out. And the easy way out is to say battered Vols syndrome, but it is the truth. You see Joe struggle with accuracy. We flash back to 2021, and we all hit the panic button. It's the same thing with the defense, and I'm starting the narrative now. I'm jumping on before you can do it. I'm going to take this before, and that way, when I miss and I'm wrong, everybody will let me know. I think we are panicking about the defense. That's not necessarily as bad as everybody thinks it is. Yeah, they make some huge mistakes. They are tackling horrible, and I keep having the conversation of, can you really clean tackling up in a week, or is that an off-season thing? Is that a fall camp thing? Can they clean up some of the tackling? And I know everybody's mad because of the lull, right? The problem is you had the lull on offense and defense at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. Vols go, UTSA gets the football right out of the gate, 15-play drive for a touchdown. That drive, man, if you go and watch it, it should have been a 3-and-out. Elijah Herring had him tackled for loss, and he just over-pursued. Little mistakes, and that's why I love watching the Josh Heupel show when he gets into it and breaks it down, and he's like, one guy. And I know that is such coach speak and cliche, and it takes 11 guys all operating at a high. It does. One guy makes a mistake. You can't get off the field on third down. The second touchdown drive, Brandon Turnage misses the tackle. One guy makes a mistake. Guess what? That's 40 yards after contact, goes for a touchdown. It's 14 points. At the same time, Tennessee's going 3-and-out. I think the second drive was like 6 plays, 10 yards, something like that. It all happened at one time. Mm-hmm. Defensively, how many points were they giving up a game? I've got so many notes in front of me, I can't remember what the exact number is. But they're 29th in the country in scoring defense. So what are your thoughts on the defense, the way they played against UTSA? Can they get better as a whole? Can you improve tackling in 1 week?
It's funny. I don't – you talked about, like, can you improve it from 1 week to the next, or is it an off-season thing? Like, the only way to get better at tackling is to tackle. And so you can't tackle in the off-season. It's against the rules. I mean, you can't go out there and practice, right? And in spring practice and in fall camp, a lot of times you're not tackling to the ground. Now, they start every single practice with tackling circuits, tackling and turnover circuits. That's why a lot of people are saying, oh, he went in and punched that guy. No, he's going in with a fist clutch to try to punch that ball out there, because they rep it every single day. I've seen it when we're out there. That's how they start. That's one of the 5 minutes that we get to see of our 13 minutes, right? and so, man, they're working it and everything, but I thought it was going to be a good year in that respect, because Virginia, you had 7 missed tackles, I believe. And that was a really, really good start. And the last 3 games, you've had 10+, and multiple by a couple different guys. And really, it's more guys in the secondary than anything. But Elijah Herring had 2 or 3 as well. I thought Elijah Herring played a pretty good game, except for those couple missed tackles where you got to clean some things up in the open space. So, excuse me. We'll see. A lot of it is just keeping your feet, not having your feet died. A lot of it is holding on, allowing, guys to come and help you. Too many times you see guys lunging, leaving their feet, and closing their eyes, and you're not going to make any tackles doing that way. I mean, let's go back to high school when we all played football. That they didn't teach us to do that, but you're seeing that so much in the Tennessee game. You saw that from Wesley Walker in the Florida game. You saw that from a couple different guys. Kamal Haddon that didn't wrap up, and Brandon Turnage, man, he had him. He had his arms around him and everything. He just didn't finish to the ground, and so. We'll see. I think that you can get better week by week, because the more you tackle, the better you get. But that's got to improve, because for sure that's 4 games, 3 of which have had 10+ missed tackles, and the majority is coming from the secondary. So that can get you beat, and that's got to get better, and I expect it to get better, because there's only one way to get better, and that's to go out there and tackle.
I know you kind of like us, you kind of start to wrap up the UTSA coverage, and you'll start getting into your South Carolina preparation. I know you guys had on the Rocky Top Rewind last night, you had a South Carolina guy on there talking a little bit about it. I didn't get to listen to much of it as I was in panic mode trying to plan the back half of the show on short notice. But what you've looked at of South Carolina, give us a little taste as we go into this revenge game. It's a revenge week. This fan, man, it's going to be hostile. 7:30 kick. Everybody's thinking about last year. Tennessee favored by 11.5. What are your thoughts on South Carolina in this matchup for Tennessee?
Yeah, I checked that FanDuel last night, and it's already down to 8. I'm not sure where FanDuel opened it, but
oh wow, really?
but still, I mean, for Tennessee to be a touchdown favorite, I was a little surprised, not going to lie. One thing about South Carolina is it has been tested. Opened up the season at neutral site against North Carolina. We all watched that game. It's already played Georgia, just played an SEC opponent at Mississippi State this past weekend. So the only cupcake it's had was Furman. And so, I mean, it's been tested. I went ahead and started making my notes last night, but we'll do the first glance here later, and I'll learn more about South Carolina the more I talk to people. But from kind of what I've gathered so far, Spencer Rattler is playing at an elite level. Without Spencer Rattler, South Carolina might be 1-3 right now. He has been that good. Where he started playing well against Tennessee last year, he has kept that up, and he has been playing at an elite level since. He has bailed out that offensive line. I think that offensive line's given up 17 sacks, which is just unreal 4 games into the season. Yet, it could have been about 25 if not for Spencer Rattler. So, they can't run the football. Can't run the football whatsoever. He's throwing the football. He's making some things happen. Defensively, the numbers aren't eye-popping or anything, but again, they played some pretty good offenses. They played Drake May, who's going to be a top 5 pick. They played Georgia and did pretty decent against Georgia, but we know about the firepower Georgia has, scoring 24 points. They lost 2 NFL cornerbacks, but they bring back some safety experience. They bring back some experience at linebacker. I like Tennessee if you can run the football, which I think Tennessee is going to be able to run the football, because South Carolina was so bad at defending the run last year, and they've been decent with it so far this year, but they were so bad last year. Tennessee needs to run the football, protect Joe Milton. They need to get after Spencer Rattler. I think it's going to be a huge week for Tennessee's ends, the Leos, to keep Rattler contained, but also not to get washed up field, because if you get washed up field, I mean, you're putting Elijah Herring in a bind. He's a young player. I mean, any linebacker, defensive back, open field tackles are tough, but especially for Elijah Herring, because he's struggling with that right now. He's a young player. He's going to get better, but you do not want to, open up huge holes for a linebacker to tackle Spencer Rattler in space. And so got to keep things tight off the edge, but keep things contained, and, try to let Spencer Rattler beat you through the air. He did last year, but a lot of those things were him running around and kind of playing Superman, and he's done that a lot this year. So try to force him into a bad decision, try to get him on the ground, get back there. There's going to be opportunity, in my opinion, but that's kind of the early scouting report so far. It's a whole lot of Spencer Rattler. Without Spencer Rattler, they'd be really bad right now. They've been tested, and they're going to be coming into a hostile environment. For the second time this year, they struggled with pre-snap penalties. That was one of the questions I asked Colin Taylor last night. I said, hey, how did South Carolina deal with the crowd noise and everything at Georgia? And he said, horribly. They had a ton of pre-snap penalties, and they're starting a true freshman at left tackle. So Neyland Stadium could be a huge factor this week against South Carolina.
Always appreciate you coming on, Cainer. What do you got going on over at VolQuest and Locked On Vols coming up this week?
Yeah, looking back at the win over UTSA, kind of like what we're doing here. It was a good bounce back. Is it good enough? What still needs to improve for Tennessee? We kind of do all that. We hear some scoring plays courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. We'll look at Pro Football Focus metrics as the week goes on, and then it's a lot about South Carolina. Who is Spencer Rattler? Who is South Carolina? And what does Tennessee need to do to pull out that win? All that and more. So Locked On Vols and at VolQuest.com.
Appreciate it, brother. Everybody go sub up Locked On Vols. Go check out what's going on at VolQuest. Somebody in the chat earlier said, why do you all keep saying GQ? That is the general's quarters. That's the message board over at VolQuest. You got to have some thick skin, and I don't. I'm soft. Everybody tells me I'm soft. But anyway.
Big game week this week. Tennessee, it's always a big game week. South Carolina, $1 for 1 month or 50% off your first-year annual subscription at VolQuest.com. Come find out what the GQ is all about. I promise they'll greet you, and they'll be nice for maybe a day.
Just don't show up and post, hey, my first time here, what's up, guys? Because it's not going to go good. Just sit quietly like I do. Don't talk to anybody until they put your name out there. Then you yell at them. All right, buddy.
I know you're saying bye to me, but real talk, I'll see people out in the community or whatever, and they'll be like, hey, man, I've been on VolQuest for so many years. I'm like, oh, cool, what's your handle? I always ask that, and they're like, oh, my handle's this, whatever, but I never post. I just sit back and watch, and I'm like,
smart person. Yep, that's what I do. I don't post very often unless somebody says, hey, what's a good podcast that's not Eric Cain or Boogie Bentley, because those two idiots suck. Then I get involved and start talking. What can you do? What can you do? It's true. That's a true story. No, that is not a lie. All right, brother. Appreciate you coming on. We'll catch up later this week.
Sounds good, man. See you
later, buddy. All right. Let me catch up on some super chats here from you guys. We got J. Neal VFL for 2. Appreciate that super chat. Says, good win. Now let's go beat South Carolina. Man, it is a big week. This is one. It's been circled on the calendar all offseason, right? We've been looking forward to this game. It's a revenge game. You can – Coach Heupel may or may not be talking about that, but we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be fired up, and that's why I think the atmosphere in Neyland Stadium is going to be second to none on Saturday night. 7:30 is the perfect time. Everybody's going to be drinking. Everybody's going to be riled up. Everybody's going to be ready to go, and I think that's going to be a huge advantage for Tennessee. Knoxville Predator Catcher always drops the super chats to tell dad jokes, and I love it. I'm here for it. Knoxville Predator Catcher says, did you know it is illegal to laugh loudly in Hawaii? They only allow aloha. Thank you, Knoxville Predator Catcher, for the super chat. Chantel McGee becomes a member of the channel. Hey, I appreciate that support. You guys want to support what's going on here. The reason we are able to do morning shows on Monday and Fridays is because of you, the members of the channel. The number of you that join this channel, you can do it for $1, right? If everybody joins the channel for $1 a month, I greatly appreciate it, but that truly gives me the opportunity to be able to do this full time so I can give you a morning show on Monday, a morning show on Friday. We got that coming up with Coach Jay, 10 a.m. on Friday. So make sure you tune in for that. Jackster also becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that. Talkin VAWLS Gold. Thank you guys for the support again. Could not do it without you, members of the channel. Hey, look. You guys are going to be my co-host for the back half of the show. BVD let me know about 30 minutes before I went live that he was not coming on the show. So kind of went into scramble mode of what we want to talk about. And I got a couple of options for you guys, but first let me do some plugs and shills. We talked about the memberships. Let's talk about the merchandise. You can go check it out at bonfire.com/store/talkinballs. We've got the new letters themed shirts. Of course, we all know Danny White brought back those beloved letters, so we've got a Talkin VAWLS themed shirt for that. A lot of times I say we are a family. You guys inform me that we are a cult here, so we got the cult member shirts and then all the favorite rivalry shirts. We got merch that lets people know that we hate the Gators, we hate Alabama, we hate Georgia, we hate Kentucky. You can go check it out, bonfire.com/store/talkinballs. If you forget the link, guess what? I make it easy for you. It's down in the description below, but we appreciate any and all support there. So let's jump into it, man. What do y'all want to talk about? I've got the post-game press conference from Josh Heupel. We can take a look at that. We can take a look at PFF grades coming out of the UTSA game. Donovan says, Boogie, let's have a Nico shirt. It would sell. That's one thing I can't do, man. I wanted to do a cheese shirt back during the baseball when we were covering baseball full time, but you can't really make merchandise with a kid's name on it, right? Because they would have to be involved in that. You're taking money out of their pocket. I know a lot of people do that, but that's not something that I want to do. Bobby says South Carolina deserves a butt kicking. They deserve to lose 70-0. Let's go. I still haven't watched that game from Saturday. I want to go back and I want to watch South Carolina, what they actually look like. You can look at the numbers and I always say stats don't tell the story, but I want to go back and watch at least that Mississippi State game and kind of see. Spencer Rattler almost played a perfect game according to what everybody's saying. On the year right now, 95 of 128, 1,200 yards, 74% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, running the football, 32 carries for 64 yards. I don't know that always tells the story because the sacks are included in college football stats, but something I look at, and again, it's just looking at numbers and on paper, and I talked about this last night on the Fan Call-In show. I just like the matchup of running the football. I think Tennessee will be able to run the football against them, and they're dead last in the SEC in rushing yards. So can Tennessee run the football, be physical? Gerald Mincey back on the field. I think, that's a factor in the rushing yards against UTSA. And I get it, and I laugh. And again, said this last night. I repeat myself all the time because I'm on here talking all the time. But the fact that Gerald Mincey misses the Florida game and they struggle to run the football. He comes back, they run for 300 yards. If Cooper Mays is back on Saturday, I think Tennessee is going to have a lot of success running the football against South Carolina. But it's a big question mark with Joe. How does Joe actually feel? How is the knee? Because did it impact him? Did it impact him moving forward? Moonshot in the chat. I turned the show off last night. I hate snakes. My wife tuned in and was like, what in the world what are you doing? She's like, what do you do on YouTube? Why is there a dude on there handling snakes? What is happening on the Talkin VAWLS network? But it's always a good show, man. Always a good time for the Fan Call-In shows. But how healthy is Joe Milton? Is he 100%? which version of Joe do we get? Did it impact him? Did the knee impact him? Or was it a confidence issue? We talk about Joe kind of Jekyll and Hyde, right? Hot and cold. When Joe's hot, he's really hot, and he's dialed in, and he's accurate. He made some really good throws Saturday night. Even the ones like Cainer was saying, some of the deep balls that he missed are just right there. And it's not, just being close is not good enough. You got to connect on some of those. But, it's the battered Vols syndrome in us when he just barely misses. The sky is falling. We're awful. We're terrible. The defense sucks. The offense sucks. Joe Milton sucks. Sometimes we're too emotional when we watch Tennessee football, right? And it's because we care so much. I was making the comparison. Like, I can be watching Alabama and South Carolina play each other. And let's say South Carolina gets up on Alabama 2 scores. I don't even bat an eye. I'm like, a lot of football left to play. But if it's Tennessee, You let UTSA score on back-to-back drives. The sky is falling. Everything is panic. We suck again. That's the beauty of being a fan, though. We're emotional. We overreact. It's who we are. It's who we are. But our emotions is why Neyland Stadium's going to be rocking on Saturday night for a big one. Let's what do you got? You guys. Smoky Mountain Red trying to just get me to play all the clips. Let's take a listen. I've not watched this, and I wanted to kind of take a listen to it. And because I'm flying solo, it gives me an opportunity to get some talking points, kind of roll through it, give it a listen. I want to hear what Josh Heupel said immediately after the UTSA game. I've not heard this. We'll pause it. We'll make comments as we go through it. If you guys want to change directions, change topics, you know what to do. You know how to do that. But let's take a listen to what Josh Heupel had to say after the bounce-back game against UTSA.
Coach. Hey, appreciate our fans showing up early. Ball walk was awesome. Great start to the football game. Played well early in both phases and special teams. And then, obviously, third quarter, end of the second quarter, there's some things that we didn't operate as efficiently as we needed to. Got to be better than that as we continue to go. But, again, finished strong. Love the effort. We got to be a little bit smarter in some of the unique things that transpired during the course of the ball game for sure.
I like the little chuckle. He's thinking about Cam Seldon. Talking about the third quarter too, right? And we're all talking about it. You take out, man, it's so similar to the Florida game. I think that's why it triggers so much of us. But when you look at those scoring drives, the 2 scoring drives for UTSA and how much clock that ate up, right? And that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing so much on that third quarter because Tennessee lost the third quarter 14-0, right? But you come out slow. You have a 3-and-out after UTSA goes right down the field and scores. That first drive was 15 plays, 75 yards, and a touchdown. That ate up 7.5 minutes of clock. We saw Florida do the same thing, and it's kind of the same old song and dance of they're putting together long scoring drives, eating up a lot of clock, and Tennessee's responding with a quick 3-and-out. They go back and score on the 4-play, 66-yard drive. Tennessee stalls again. So think about this, though. Tennessee's up 31-0 going into the locker room, right? You got the little injury with Joe. The way they ended that first half, kind of sketchy, kind of like, man, do we want to try to go score? Were they worried about Joe? They don't want Joe to get hurt right before the half. Let's just get in the locker room, see what's going on. But then you come out of the locker room, you're up 31-0, and it's UTSA. Are you really fired up to go out there and compete? And it was kind of quiet. It was kind of quiet to start that third quarter. Corey Smith, been a member for 11 months. Appreciate that support, brother. Wayne's in the house. What's up, Wayne? $5 super chat. Agree, but the Vols have got to avoid the long lulls, in my opinion, in SEC play. Go Vols. That's the question, right? That long lull against Florida cost you the game. No ifs, ands, or buts. No excuses. That stretch, it was about 10, 11-minute stretch of the UTSA game. Made the game be 45-14. What does it do if you have that 10, 11-minute stretch against South Carolina? Smoky Mountain Red in the chat says, I hate the new clock. BS. It is. You're seeing teams eat up the clock against Tennessee. We had the talking points. We had the questions before the season. Would it really impact Tennessee? And we didn't think it would. But I think we're seeing maybe it does impact it just a little bit. Corey Smith gifted a Talkin VAWLS network membership. Appreciate that, Corey. I just caught that out of the side of my eye. Trent Boyd is now a member of the channel thanks to Corey, so I appreciate that support. Pecan for 10 says 231 passing yards from UTSA. An FBS team had 319 yards of offense. Rattler is going to throw the ball all over the field on us. Our secondary has to step up big time. Ifs, ands, and buts. I know, Pecan. You're right. 231 yards passing from UTSA. I get it. But let me give you the excuses. Let me throw the excuses out there for you. Brent Hubbs wrote an article and brought up a good point. I don't know if it really factors in too much, but it's worth mentioning. It's worth talking about. They made the change at quarterback, right? They made the change at quarterback at halftime. You got a guy coming in that you have absolutely zero film on. You got no tape on. You have no idea what this guy does, who he is. You have no college football film on this quarterback. Now, is that an excuse? Yeah, pretty much. It's an excuse. On the flip side, what I talked about earlier in the show with Cainer, you got to have 11 guys doing their job at all times on defense. Coach speak, I get it, I understand. But when you hear Heupel talk about it and break it down, that first drive that I just mentioned that went 15 plays, 75 yards, 7.5 minutes, resulted in a touchdown. You got a chance to get them off the field 3 and out. All you got to do is execute. Elijah Herring over pursues. And I'm not beating up Elijah Herring for that. I'm just calling facts are facts. Elijah Herring makes that tackle, right? One guy on one play. Elijah Herring makes that tackle. What happens? Because they're punting the football there. It's ifs, ands, and buts. It's speculation. I understand. I get it. I'm just making a point here. You get off the field 3 and out. What happens? Does Tennessee go and score? Maybe D. Williams houses it. Who knows? You also mentioned the 231 passing yards. Second drive, touchdown drive, 4-play drive. Brandon Turnage misses a tackle. The wide receiver has 40 yards after contact, goes for a touchdown. So you take away that 40 yards because one guy, and again, I'm not picking on Brandon Turnage, I'm just having a conversation here. One guy didn't do his job. One guy didn't wrap up. One guy didn't make a tackle. That takes 231 passing yards down to around, if you make the tackle down to around, 190. Are we satisfied with 190? I agree with you. I will also say I'm continuing to laugh because a lot of the guys that told me, Boogie, watch out for UTSA. They're good. They're a good football team, Boogie. You keep saying we're going to beat them, but they're good. Tennessee goes out and beats them 45-14. They cover the spread. All of a sudden, UTSA sucks? Why are we changing our tone here, boys? I thought UTSA was good, and UTSA was going to give Tennessee a game, and they've got a good offense. I'm just saying. What changed? Let's hear more from Josh Heupel. I appreciate those super chats. Thank you, Pecan. Appreciate that. Who was the other one? Wayne. Appreciate that. I like when you guys give me a talking point. Be my co-host. I need a wingman tonight, boys. This morning. What day is it? Is it Monday? Didn't sleep well last night. I never sleep well. Is that a sign of old age? But I appreciate the super chats. Give me a topic. Being my wingman, my co-host. I can always count on you guys to be here and ride with me. Let's hear more from Josh Heupel immediately after the win over UTSA.
Open it up.
Start with Adam in the front. Josh, what do you think it does for the confidence of the offense that they experience and success, especially in that first half?
Yeah, the first half starting fast, being efficient, blocking well, big runs. Joe obviously starts the game with a huge play off of his read key, and then we're efficient in the pass game too. So I also said, in the locker room later tonight, like it's a fine line, right? And so it's again a reminder for the competitive edge that you got to have and continue to keep during the course of a ball game too.
I think Joe started something like 14 and 16, and then kind of missed about 10 in a row. How much of that was him? How much of that was receivers, taking something?
A couple of them are him. There's a couple deep balls were a little bit off. Wide receivers being in sync on some of their route patterns too, in the middle of the field. So it's a combination of all those things in the middle that didn't let us operate as efficiently as we needed it to be.
He talked about on the Josh Heupel show as well. Talked about, we see a pass that falls incomplete. We immediately blame Joe. It's accuracy. Here we go again, 2021. Hot and cold. But I like that Heupel puts it out there that sometimes the wide receivers aren't where they're supposed to be. Again, McCallum Castles had a drop. Dante Thornton had a drop. Again, the coach speak, right, takes 11 guys doing their job, blah, 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 blah. But it's the reality. It's the reality of the situation. And you think about some of these deep shots from Joe, right? We talked about Ramel Keaton earlier, man. What an effort. What an effort from that guy. Like, I was having flashbacks to the catch he made against Florida. Like, that kid, he always puts his body on the line. I know some people were saying that Chaz Nimrod should have laid out for the one that was an overthrow on him. The beautiful thing is we saw guys running open all over the field. We've not seen that as much this year as we've seen in previous years under Josh Heupel. We saw a lot of guys running free and just missed connecting on those. And, you know, I know a lot of people like to beat up Joe, but Hendon didn't connect on all those. He didn't connect on all those deep balls. But it's a good thing to see guys running free. Let's just execute. Trent Boyd in the chat. What's up, buddy? Forgot to renew my membership. Thanks to Corey. I don't have to do it for another month. I appreciate it, man. Love this cult. Yeah, I love when you guys share the wealth, man. Gifting those memberships is a cool thing. Show them what they've won. Drop those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Coach says all we got to do is tackle better. Yeah. Oh, man, I had not seen the number for the UTSA game. I knew it was bad. But again, can you clean up tackling in a week, man? It's now we're going on 3 weeks in a row with missing 10 or more tackles. Like, that's not going to cut it. That is not. You've got to improve tackling. And that's, you know, who do you blame for tackling? Coaching? You blame coaching? Do you blame the position group coach? Do you blame Brian Jean-Marie if his linebackers aren't tackling? Do you blame Willie Martinez, or does it start at the top with Tim Banks? Does it start with Josh Heupel? Who do you blame for poor tackling? Go out there and execute, do your job. Can you get better in a week? You better get ready for Saturday. It's going to be a big one.
To avoid that kind of lull on offense next week.
Yeah, you got to block well up front. You got to give the quarterback time. You got to go win one-on-ones. Quarterback's got to be accurate with the ball. And I know that sounds redundant a little bit, but at the end of the day, that's what we got to do. So the efficiency in the run game in the middle part of the game.
Man, this may be one of the best comments. This is such a spot-on comment. Hendon only had to be better than JG. Joe has to be better than Hendon. Very hard ask. Man, that is deep. That is such an accurate statement. I mean, you know, not only Hendon being better than JG, but Hendon playing in Heupel's offense, right? We had lived through 3 years of misery of Jeremy Pruitt trying to be Alabama 2.0, and it was not going to work. It was never going to work. That's why we saw Cedric Tillman have 8 catches in 3 years. Enter Josh Heupel, 1,000-yard receiver, off to the NFL. Jalen Hyatt had a play against Alabama under Jeremy Pruitt where we said, okay, this kid's got some speed, man. This kid could be something special. Took him a year to figure things out. Year 2 under Josh Heupel, look what he did. He goes out and balls out. So it's kind of a combination, right? Jarrett, love his heart, man. I supported that kid to the end. I think he was a warrior. He was a trooper. I think he got a raw deal, man. I think Jarrett Garantano got a raw deal at Tennessee. So Hendon comes in, and it's like, man, we've not seen good quarterback play in a long freaking time. Like, just be efficient, and we're going to be happy. Whereas Joe's got to follow Hendon. Those are big shoes to fill, and that's why I think, man, he gets irritable. He gets irritable when he's asked about it, talked about it. Little brother. He did not like that comment in the press conference. That's a great point, Negaball.
2 was a part of it. All of us got to play together.
Ben and Rob, Josh, what was the feeling being well, and what you see him this week responding from not being able to play last week to this week?
Dylan's been the same guy on the practice field, been a good leader in the locker room, competitive, willing to do whatever to help the team. When he has the ball in his hands, he's done a good job of, reading it, delivering blocks. Made a backdoor cut tonight as flow over the top happens. Been really efficient in what he's done. So going to need him as we continue to go too,
You think Dylan Sampson was in the doghouse last week? What do you guys think? Got a lot of carries those first 2 weeks, goes into the Florida game, doesn't touch the football one time, goes to Instagram, caged cheetah. He ran angry. He ran angry this week. He ran angry, and he ran 11 carries for 139, 2 touchdowns. What do you have, a 44-yard and a 41-yard, something along those lines? And it's always fun. We always argue in the chat with each other. It's who's better. Jalen Wright's my guy. I'm a Dylan Sampson guy. He needs to be starting. He needs to be the number 1 running back. Poor Jabari Small, love his heart. Y'all don't respect him. I think he's a baller. I like Jabari Small. He's ran the ball physically. He's ran the ball hard this year. He's played good football. Looking at his numbers here, 42 carries, 258, 1 touchdown, averaging 6.1 yards per carry. I mean, look at that. And I get it, man. I get it. It's like when I talk about running the football against South Carolina, I understand the level of competition. I understand that Florida was really the only test. But, man, you look at our 3 running backs, Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, Dylan Sampson. Wright, 6.9 yards per carry. Jabari Small, 6.1 yards per carry. Dylan Sampson, 7.4 yards per carry after that game against UTSA. 5 touchdowns on the ground for Dylan Sampson. 5, the Vulture. Cainer called him the Vulture. Comes in and steals those touchdowns. I think Tennessee's going to be able to run the football all over South Carolina. We may end up in a shootout. It may be a shootout. I don't know if we can stop Spencer Rattler. The way you guys talk, he played darn near perfect against Mississippi State. I'm going to go watch that game later today. I'm going to get, see what's going on. But his numbers are impressive. But also you look at the opportunity that this defense has. Cainer talked about it earlier. How many times that Spencer Rattler's been sacked? So can you keep him in the pocket? Can you keep him contained? Sacked 17 times through 4 games, and they are the worst football team in the SEC, only rushing the football for 75 yards a game. I think Tennessee can win this football game with the run game. Like, I know a lot of you guys seem to be anxious and nervous about this game, concerned about this game. Spencer Rattler going to go out and whoop us on Saturday. Why are we favored by 11 points, 11.5? Pecan with another 10 says, here's a reason for you to rant, Boogie. I had us losing to Florida, A&M, Bama, Georgia, but A&M looks really bad, so 8-4. We could still end up 7-5 with losses to South Carolina and Kentucky with us beating A&M. I mean, I had us at 9-3. I was going on a rant this morning. If you guys saw my rants off camera, you'd be like, man, bring that energy, Boogie. Bring that energy to the table. I had Tennessee going 9-3 this year when you look at the schedule. And people saying I'm crazy. Boogie, you're crazy. I think sometimes we get so excited as a fan base, right, coming off of an 11-win season, a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. We're going to go win 10. We're going to win 11. We're going to go win a national championship this year. Feels like 98. You guys remember when we had Peyton Manning? He left. The backup comes in. T. Martin goes win a natty. That's what Joe's going to do. National championship. Here we come. I always try to shoot straight, keep, stay even kill. I thought 9-3. I thought this team would take a step back offensively and take a step forward defensively. I didn't necessarily say that they were going to lose to Florida, but I thought you could lose on the road to Florida. I thought you could lose to Texas A&M. I think you can lose on the road to Kentucky. But I also thought all those games were winnable. So I thought you lose to Bama, you lose to Georgia, and you slip up somewhere. Was Florida the slip up? Now can you go beat South Carolina on Saturday? Go 1-0 every week, right? Right, Coach? 1-0 every week. That's what you got to do. Why are we so scared of South Carolina? You say you had us losing to Florida, A&M, Bama, Georgia, 8-4. I think that's a pretty reasonable, realistic prediction, Pecan. What happens if this football team goes 7-5? How many people in this fan base are going to be out? We're missing Keenan Peely. I see Austin asking what happened to the linebacker that transferred from BYU. You guys you told him injury. Hopefully he's back, I think, October. I think they said middle of the season, October sometime for Keenan Peely. We're missing him, man. We are missing him, the linebacker play. And we got some good young linebackers, and they're going to get better. Elijah Herring, Arian Carter, Jeremiah T-Lander, those guys are going to get better. They're going to get better as the season goes on. They're going to be better next season. But this football team is a whole lot better with Keenan Peely out there beside Aaron Beasley. Hopefully he's back in October. We need him. We need him. You're seeing why they went out and got him in the transfer portal. Bobby, 7-5 will not go over well. They're 3-1 right now, and that's not going over well. We're not going to be happy. We're never happy. You beat UTSA 45-14. Nobody's happy. I'm happy. I'm trying to find that inner sunshine pumper. It's starting to come back out. A lot of negativity last week. I had people sliding into my DMs on Facebook saying some stupid stuff, all because I felt like Tennessee played bad against Florida and against Austin Peay. But I thought they played pretty solid against UTSA. We saw that tempo early. We saw what this offense can be. Joe was spot on. Then you went through the lull. And gosh, that lull just sucks the life out of all of us. That 11 minutes of football, it's a 60-minute game. 60-minute game, 11 minutes of football. Has us miserable. Has us questioning it all. has us scared about a team that we're favored by 11. We are favored by 11. I said this last night on the fan call, and so I'll say it again. Take teams off the board. You have no idea who I'm talking about. And the only thing I bring to you is one team runs the football for 230 yards per game. They lead the SEC in rushing yards per game. The team that they're going to play is dead last in rushing yards. They only run the football for 75 yards per game. I'll tell you that one of these teams is 2-2. I'll tell you that one of these teams is 3-1. I'll tell you one team's favored by 11.5 according to Caesars Sportsbook. I'll tell you that same team, the ESPN FBI has them at 70.3% advantage to win the game. And then I go on to tell you that same team that's favored, that same team the ESPN FPI is picking, the same team that runs the football, leads the SEC in rushing yards per game, that same team, they're going to be the home team. Okay? They're going to be the home team. It's going to be a 7:30 kickoff. It's going to be late at night. Everybody's going to be liquored up, ready to go. I'll lay all those facts out for you. You have no idea what teams I'm talking about. And then I say one last thing. This team that everything's in their favor, this team that all the odds seem to be lining up for this team to go win football on Saturday night. Oh, by the way, the team that they're playing pissed in their Cheerios last year. The team that they're playing took everything from them a year ago. The team that they're playing ruined their shot at the college football playoffs. The team that they're playing took out their Heisman Trophy quarterback. The team that they are playing took everything from them. Everything. You have no idea what the team names are. You have no idea what's happened in the past. But if I lay all that information out for you, you're riding with the Vols by 50 on Saturday night. Battered Vols syndrome is what's impacting us. Battered Vols syndrome is what has us so concerned about this game against South Carolina on Saturday night. And I'm preaching to myself. I've been looking in the mirror all weekend long saying, Boogie, you got to believe in this football team. You know they're the better football team. You know that they can beat South Carolina, but you are so upset. You're so in your feelings. You're so scared. Gosh, man, we got to find the cure for Battered Vols syndrome. Mr. Hunt, who can't change his name, says, hate missing BVD, but this is what I love. Feels like a late night NCAA stream. Is this what you guys want? A solo Boogie stream? You want me to get Cainer on for the morning show, and then when he leaves, just pull up Heupel's post-game press conference, play 2 minutes and 30 seconds of it while I yell and scream into the camera? All right. I'm glad you guys dig it. We got 260 people watching live. Help me out. Smash the thumbs up. Share out the link. Blast it out on Facebook. Let people know we're live. I would greatly appreciate it. Parker for 5 says, inject this in my veins, Boogie. Inject it in my veins. Dude, I'm preaching to myself. I am preaching to myself, Parker, because all the things that you guys are saying are the same things that concern me and scare me. I get it. Believe me, I get it. Hunter says, please prescribe me something. I've got Battered Vols syndrome bad. Cast Iron says, I don't have Battered Vols syndrome. Feels like 98. Sean says, this is personal. Do we need to get Dion to come in and give a pregame speech and tell everybody it's personal? Pecan with another 5 says, 8-4 is a winning season. Why are people mad about it? A few years ago, we were always wondering if we could make a bowl game, and here we are. I'm happy. You know, I said before the season, what would be too much, right? I said 9-3 was where I was at. I said I could also see this team going 8-4. I could see them winning 10 games. Like you just didn't know. You lost so much, right? And you know, I said on this channel all offseason talking about how Dante Thornton was going to be a stud. He's yet to prove it. He's been inconsistent. He's been doing great in the run game, blocking. I think he's been very physical. But what's the breaking point? Expectations change, right? You go win 11 games in year 2, all of a sudden, everybody's ready for a national championship. I think a lot of people would be upset with 8-4. I think a lot of people in this fan base wouldn't be happy or satisfied with 8-4. The question becomes recruiting. Thank you again for another super chat, Pecan. You're being very generous this morning, brother. Appreciate it. Can you hold the recruiting class together if you go 8-4? When do the cracks start to sneak in? 8-4, 7-5, 6-6? I think I would be okay with 8-4 depending on how it played out. Right? That loss to Florida is so frustrating because I think Tennessee was the better football team. Mr. P for 5. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Rattler will be receiving the treatment Levis received last year. We hope. GBO. See, that's a little battered Vols syndrome right there, Mr. P. Mr. P says, we hope. He had to throw that we hope in there. Like, we don't have the confidence to just pull the trigger and say, we're going to go out there and we're going to beat the brakes off of South Carolina. We're going to get after the quarterback. We're going to put Rattler into the dirt. His jersey is going to be a mess. It's going to be torn up, ripped up, shredded, going to have some green on it, some orange. Dude's been sacked 17 times in 4 games. 17 times in 4 games. You know, a lot of people hating on Tim Banks. Again, this show feels like a promotion for the Josh Heupel show on Sunday mornings. But he talked about Tim Banks and how, man, Tyler Barron was living in the backfield on Saturday night. And he's been living in the backfield all year long. Like, Tyler Barron's playing some good football right now. What are his numbers? Let me go find Tyler Barron's numbers. Let's see. Tyler Barron. 4 sacks. 4 sacks through 4 games. Tyler Barron's playing good football. Heupel talked about how Tim Banks schemed up some things for Tyler Barron. You know, we see him a lot of times slide Tyler Barron in on the inside, the Rabbits package, whatever it is that they call it. And Tyler Barron goes and makes some plays. But he said that Tim Banks schemed some things up this week to get Tyler Barron matched up on the running back or the tight end, and that guy has no shot. You're not blocking Tyler Barron. That running back has no prayer of stopping Tyler Barron. So sometimes we get mad at Tim Banks. We want to blame Tim Banks because Elijah Herring over-pursued. You should have been off the field on a 3-and-out. Instead, they go 15 plays for a touchdown and eat up 7.5 minutes. So we're ready to fire Tim Banks. And I get it. Tackling starts with coaching. They got to be better tackling. You can't miss 10-plus tackles a week. But Tim Banks did some good things. Turnovers, right? We're talking about how bad this defense is. Warren Burrell had an interception. Tamari McDonald had an interception. Caleb Herring gets home, sack, fumble. We fall on it. That's 3 turnovers, boys. That's what Tim Banks' defense needs to be. It needs to be fast, aggressive, and force turnovers. That's how you change games. Cast Iron Volunteer becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, brother. Emoji access. That's just $1 a month. You guys just got to give $1 a month. If you like these rants, you like Boogie getting on here, playing the post-game press conference, and we've got 2 minutes into it, and I've been yelling for 30. You guys can be my co-host. I don't need a co-host. Actually, I do. Coach, I hope Coach isn't listening to this. But if I don't have a co-host, you guys are letting me feed off of you. That's the beautiful thing. This is what NCAA night is. Somebody said that earlier. NCAA night is so laid back. I feed off of you guys. We have a conversation. That's what we're doing this morning. That's the beautiful thing about this channel. Parker for another 5. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Our D-line will look like the 98 team on Saturday. Let's go. God, let's go. Y'all are getting me fired up now. See, I got you fired up. Now I'm feeding off of you. Get after Spencer Rattler. See, what's going to happen is we're going to shut down this stream. I'm going to go watch the South Carolina game, and then I'm going to be terrified again. I'm going to need you guys to talk me off the ledge again. J. Neal VFL for 5. Front 7 won't let Rattler breathe. Joe throws for 250 with 3 touchdowns. We dropped 50 on him. I hope the offense is firing on all cylinders like it was to start the game. And look, excuses, right? We can make all the excuses in the world, but you're up 31-0 against UTSA. It's hard to get excited, right? It's hard to get fired up for that second half. I don't think this team's going to have any trouble getting fired up for Saturday night at 7:30 against South Carolina. They're going to be dialed in, ready to go. That crowd is going to be insane. They're going to be loud. They're going to be fired up. I think they can impact the game. I think this fan base can impact the game. You know who really needs to play good on Saturday is Elijah Herring. We need Elijah Herring to step up on Saturday night. If if they run with Elijah Herring. Caleb Perry's a guy that I didn't even mention earlier. Caleb Perry got a lot of run. I've got the PFF grades up here. Let me scroll down here, see where Caleb Perry, how many snaps he got. The linebackers are going to have to play better football. They graded out pretty low. Aaron Beasley graded out at a 62. Arian Carter at a 58. Caleb Perry at a 58. Where's Elijah Herring? Elijah Herring graded out at an 80. At an 80. Herring had 53 plays. Arian Carter had 26 plays. Caleb Perry had 25 plays. But I think that might be the key to the game. I think whatever linebacker is out there beside Aaron Beasley, I think that's probably who needs to play the best game of their life on Saturday against South Carolina. Wayne just said it right there. Herring and Carter both need to play better. Yeah, whoever is out there beside Beasley. Brent Best becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the support. Emoji access. It's $1. It's $1. You like the live streams, the content, the videos, the community aspect of this channel. You want to support what we're building. And you're like, man, all these people dropping $5 super chats, $10 super chats, biggest super chat of the month. Look at that down there. Jeff Puckett dropped $112 the other night. You're like, these people are crazy. But you got $1 in your pocket. You like the content and the streams. Hit that join button down below. You also get custom Talkin Vols emojis. Show them what they get, chat. Show them what the prize is. Put it in the chat. Drop all those custom Talkin Vols emojis. Let them know what they win. Plus the fan call-in shows, man. I truly mean it when I say this is your channel. I am committed to giving you guys a voice, and that's what we do. That's what we do every Sunday night. I don't know, how long were we live? Like 2 hours last night? You guys get to come on the show, hang out, voice your opinion. That's part of being a member of this channel. The more you give, the quicker you get on. Austin Byer's been a member for 3 months. Appreciate that support, brother. South Carolina 10, Tennessee 63. Rattler is sacked 8 times. I see this play. We are a cult around here. I got you all to drink the Kool-Aid. Now it's Vols by 50, Vols by 60. I got y'all fired up. Let's hear some more from Josh Heupel after the UTSA game.
Coach, you guys played a ton of guys early on defense, especially.
Yeah.
Was that the plan, and do you have that many people that are pushing to get into the 2 defense?
It was the plan. I told you guys last week, I don't remember, or this past week, the flow of the football game a week ago, the way it transpired, we had, planned on rotating more than we did. That can be on coaches, the situation, whatever. Listen, going to be physical football games as you go. Going to continue to need to play, a lot of guys, and guys that have the hot hand at whatever position, will be the guys there in the critical moments as the game goes on. But anticipate, again, playing more guys than we did a week ago.
Brent and Mike?
Coach, you said this week about guys putting a play behind them, a good play or a bad play behind them.
Yeah.
How did you do with that today? Was any of that lull compounding plays where they didn't put a play behind them? Or how do you think you handled that this week compared to last?
I think the lull was a combination of efficiency, effectiveness, and what we're doing. Structural, a little bit of change from them. Us countering that a little bit better in our targets, in particular in the run game. I felt like a little bit it affected one play to the next in a little bit of that lull, but I also thought they were able to reset and come back and make some plays. So.
Josh, after 4 games with Joe, what are the things that you know you're going to get out of him in each game, and what are those things that you're still a bit unsure of in the game?
Yeah, I want him to continue to make plays. He's going to have to use his feet. You saw it tonight in the run game. As we go, in our drop back pass game, he's going to have to, work the pocket, climb the pocket, escape, make plays with his feet, extend, make plays with his arm. That'll be critical as we continue to go. Need him to take great care of the football, and there's still a level of efficiency that we can get to in our passing game, and I'm saying that's Joe, it's our wideouts, it's our tight ends, it's all that together that we can take another jump.
Man, I know we're kind of going back to what Cainer talked about with Joe running the football. I just think it's such a key part of this offense. What's the number, guys? Does Joe need to run the football 10 times a game? Is it 10? Like, is that the number? And it's just, man, you saw it right out of the gate. He keeps it. He's got the speed. And so many times that end has crashed down and Joe still just hands it off. It's like, I don't think Joe likes to run the football. I don't know that Joe wants to run the football. He likes to sling the rock. He's a pocket quarterback. He sits in the pocket. He likes to let the play develop. He wants to sling the rock. I ain't got a problem with that. But this offense is so much better when Joe Milton runs the football. So the question is, how bad is the knee? And we're not going to have a clue, guys. We're not going to have a clue. You know, and if the photo that was flying around and Joe got the MRI, very normal. That's nothing to be concerned or worried about. I'm just curious if it is a limited Joe Milton on Saturday against South Carolina, because I think that could impact the game. Joe did not look the same after the knee injury. Now, you got a week to get ready for South Carolina. You got a week to understand where you're at. We'll see. Do you guys think we get a limited Joe Milton on Saturday night? Because if he's hurt, if he's banged up, if the knee's not 100%, and Joe said it was fine, Joe said he was fine, gosh, man, I don't know that it looked fine. He said he feels fine. Is it still going to be limited? Is he healthy enough that you're going to trot him out there to play, but you know we're not going to run Joe? We're not going to run him because he's not healthy enough to run the football. I think he needs to run the ball 10 times a game. Scott for 5, thank you for the super chat. Cover charge. Rooster Crows, tied up in bows. Chicken tears. Have no fears. Vols by 50. What's up, Scott? Good to see you in the chat, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Vols by 50. Let's roll. Let's go with it. Maybe I'll come up with a big speech. A big speech to get everybody fired up for the South Carolina game, because all I got right now is I'm going to write the score from last year on the whiteboard, and then I'm going to walk out. That's my plan as of now, but Coach told me that wasn't a good speech. I got to come up with something better.
How good was it to see Caleb Webb step up, step in for Brew, make a
Good
play
to see Caleb Webb make a play. Chad's got some playing time. Two young guys that got to continue to grow. At some point, just like tonight, you inevitably need those guys, and so it was good to see them, out there and handle the situation well. Caleb Webb, obviously, the big touchdown catch too, so that was awesome to see for him.
Can you just update where you are with Cooper?
Yeah, we'll see next week. End of the day, he didn't feel like he was ready for this one, so hopefully we'll have him back.
Could you assess how the line did in his absence again?
Some efficiency, in particular early in the run game, later in the football game too. The pocket was clean for the most part early, and then it got in the middle part of the game a little bit muddy right there, so we can be better.
If you guys just coming into the stream weren't here earlier, VolQuest put out a report on Cooper Mays. He had triple hernia surgery, triple hernia procedure, also had an abdominal wall tear that was repaired. He was given a 6-week recovery time. That ended the middle of last week. He was cleared to play for Florida, but he only went through, individual drills leading up to that Florida game. No full contact. Went through full contact a week ago, preparing for UTSA. Didn't feel like he was ready to give it a go. Will he play against South Carolina? I don't know. Cainer brought up a good point. At the time he stopped practicing, he's not had contact all fall camp. So are you in football shape? And I know we all want Cooper back. I think this offense is going to improve when Cooper's back. But are you in football shape when you've only had, this would be 2 weeks if you get through this week, 2 weeks of actual full contact. I think Cooper's going to play on Saturday. I don't know that he starts or if he's just going to get a couple of series. So we'll see. Stacy Townsend becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that. Guys, keep those memberships rolling in. I got a goal. I got a goal in the back of my mind that we are trying to reach. And I don't know what I'm going to do if we get there. Maybe I'll give something away. That's what I like to do, but it's just $1. So shout out Stacy. Appreciate that support, my man. Let's hear more from Josh Heupel after the UTSA game.
In Austin. I know it's early, but a couple guys got banged up. Some didn't come back in the football game. Do you have any statuses on those?
Yeah, we had multiple guys. Feel like we should have most of those guys back here next week. I'll know more here, tomorrow as you come back in the building. So.
Shout out to Mr. P. Also becomes a member. Boogie's boss. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That is a very generous donation, my man. Thank you so much for that. Every membership counts. Appreciate everybody that becomes a member of the channel. But that is a very generous monthly donation. So thank you, Mr. P. Appreciate that support, brother. Very, very generous, my man. You're my boss. The there's a little step up for every perk, right? It's like you get the emojis. I try to highlight your comments on live streams, and then it's more about getting on the fan call-in show. We have a watch party tier where during the off-season we'll watch a baseball game together. We'll watch the basketball team play. We'll probably watch the SEC championship game live on air if Tennessee's not in it. We'll watch the national championship game on air if Tennessee's not in it. Do different things like that, and it's a fan call-in show where the members of that tier come on and hang out with us for the entire whatever we're watching. We're watching the Tennessee baseball game, basketball game, whatever. It's a fan call-in show. So there's all types of different rewards. But for Boogie's boss, there is no reward. The only reward is you get to tell people that you're my boss and you get to tell me what to do. So it's absolutely hilarious. But also that tier, watch party tier, and Talkin VAWLS Elite, the link always goes out to them first for the fan call-in shows. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate that.
Opportunities where we overran things, just our target playing inside out on some things. But I thought, defensively, line of scrimmage, applying pressure to the quarterback, tackling for the most part, besides the lull in the third quarter, all pretty solid.
Patrick. Coach, a couple of special teams plays. You had the block punt, and Cain tries to go pick it up. What was that teaching moment like for him? And then the fake punt, did you guys kind of expect that?
Yeah, it's a teaching moment that we don't want to have. We go through a lot of scenarios and situations, and obviously a young guy just made a mistake, and hate that for him. He's playing with great effort. He's continuing to grow. Believe he's going to be a really good player for us. So, but hate that it changed the momentum in that first quarter. You look at where the ball is going to be. I think it's 14-0 at that point. Got a chance to, push it to 21-0 there early in the first quarter. There's just a couple of unique things that transpire that change the way the game's played, and you can't do that as a football team. And so we got to continue to grow in that way. There was a second part to your question, maybe.
The fake punt, did you guys kind of sense that out? You guys made the play?
One, they've been aggressive on special teams throughout his history there over the last couple of years, and that's been on the kickoff, but also felt like in that situation, the score of the game, potentially. We didn't have our base defense out there, but those guys on our punt return team did a really good job of playing that out.
Bobby says, if you're a member of the channel, no matter the level, are you allowed to take part in the fan call-in show? It depends on the night. We always start at Talkin VAWLS Elite, and then we move our way down. Last night we did Talkin VAWLS Elite and higher. Then we went down to Talkin VAWLS Gold. Then we went down to Talkin VAWLS Faithful. We didn't make it all the way down to Emoji Access. We don't always do that. Typically, we always Elite and higher, and then we try to get down to Gold. I try to go as far as I can, but we try to go an hour and a half, 2 hours on those. But so yes and no, I guess, to really answer to your question. Mr. P says, watch party says no longer available. I just looked. It still shows, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Parker Townsend for 5 would be good if Coop got some playing time Saturday. Also glad we have the 2 weeks after to get him 100%. He will be back and better for A&M. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe give him some run. Let him get out there, maybe a couple of series, see how he feels, man. A lot of it's going to be how he feels, right? Is he comfortable? Anybody that's ever recovered from an injury, like I'm still not the same from my knee injury. It's like I still am skeptical of going back and training because, once you've injured that, you have the confidence, and now you're talking about the wall of your stomach. Are you kidding me? He's got to be comfortable. We'll see. But it is good that he has that extra week to continue to get back in football shape. We got 250 people watching live. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you haven't smashed the thumbs up, I do all this shilling, the super chats, the memberships, the merchandise. You can hit the thumbs up for free, man. You like the content, you can hit that thumbs up. It helps the channel. I would appreciate it.
The zone read stuff with Joe, was that just more available this week? Was that something you guys pushed a little bit more for him this week? And in part 2, did you notice any difference out of him mechanically after he tweaked, kind of banged up his knee a little bit there?
No, I don't think that was the issue in the pass game. Sometimes you keep reads on some of the edge reads. Sometimes you don't, based on the structure and how teams are playing it. We've had that in. He'll be a part of our quarterback run game, as we continue to go.
I guess one way or the other, after you lose the first game of the season, you probably learn a little bit more.
I like that he said that about Joe, but at the same time, that's in the heat of the moment right after the game. You're going to know more about Joe's knee now than you knew right after the game. Paul Lindsay for 10, appreciate that super chat, brother, says the chicken struts, the coon dog hunts, the rattlers in the sack, sad Carolina eyes are misty, the big orange Vols by 50. Thank you, Paul. We got Knoxville Predator Catcher telling dad jokes. Now you guys are dropping super chats to tell me rhymes, and I'm here for it. So thank you, Paul, for the super chat. Appreciate it, brother. Austin Byers for $20. That is not cheap. Biggest super chat of the stream. You know, I've got to get you guys dialed in to these $20 super chats because they're orange. I don't want green on my screen. I don't want blue on my screen or yellow. I want that big orange. So shout out to Austin Byers for the 20 spot. Says, don't want to see it, but what if Joe re-aggravates the knee and has to come out and Nico gets his chance and absolutely balls out? I think the fan base would go crazy for Nico. Hope Joe is 100% good to go and gets the dub. That's going to happen, right? That's going to happen. If Nico comes in the game because Joe tweaks the knee, this fan base is going to go absolutely insane. But it could go one of two ways. If Nico comes in and balls out, I don't know that hype looks back. That's how Hendon got the job from Joe, right? Joe was struggling. We were all crying for another quarterback, even me, who up to that point in 2021 had been the biggest Joe Milton guy on the planet. I was supporting Joe. I was ride or die with Joe. Kept saying he just needed to dial in that accuracy just a little bit. He was going to be a baller. He was going to be a gamer. He goes down hurt. Hendon comes in, and Josh Heupel never looks back. And I think it would be the same way with Nico. If Nico came in, and all of a sudden we're connecting on all these deep shots and we're blowing the doors off of people right out of the gate, going out and scoring 28 on a team like South Carolina or Missouri, I think Josh Heupel's going to roll with Nico. Now, on the flip side of that, what if Nico comes in and struggles? How long until this fan base turns on him? And that's why a lot of people that say, oh, Nico's not ready. Nobody really knows if Nico's ready outside of the people inside that building. They know whether or not Nico's ready. We don't know. We can speculate. That's what we do. We're fans. So it can go two ways, man. This fan base, you know, we talk about how the backup quarterback's always the sexiest guy on the team until he comes in and struggles. Then the third-string quarterback becomes the sexiest guy on the team. Or maybe Joe Milton wasn't so bad and we want to go back to him. But I get what you're saying because that's exactly what's going to happen if Nico comes in. This fan base is going to go nuts if he balls out. Cast iron volunteer. God. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, let's get back to this final comment from Josh Heupel.
More about your guys those next few days, that next week. What'd you learn about your guys the past 7 days?
Yeah, you don't want to have to learn about them that way. I think we learned a lot about our football team in the second half of last week's game too. And I say that resilient, tough, competitive, willing to go out and compete. They did that today too. They had a really good week of practice. They came back. You could tell it hurt, and they came back and practiced well too. So this group's been pretty consistent in that. I expect that again as we continue to go.
I like that comment there because it was a bounce-back week, and I think they did bounce back. And I know it was UTSA, but they went out and did what they were supposed to do. They covered the spread. They won 45-14. They got some things clicking on offense. They got some things clicking on defense at times. I know they struggled at times as well. Take out that 11 minutes of the game, all of a sudden we're really happy with how this football team played on Saturday. They had 3 turnovers. I like that. You know, a lot of good to come out of this game, and the way that team bounced back, I'm pretty happy with it. Wesley, don't worry about it, brother. I say it all the time. If you guys don't have the money to give, donate, or whatever the case may be, don't ever feel the pressure. It's not like, hey, you can't be a part of this community unless you do a super chat or you're a member or whatever. You want to talk Tennessee football and you're not a member or doing super chats, come check out the NCAA stream. Tomorrow night, I'll be live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's exactly what you guys just saw for the last hour. I feed off of you guys, but the difference is I'm playing some NCAA football. The game's up on the screen. It's goofy, it's silly, but we have a good time, and we talk Tennessee football. We talk about other things, too. That's where this community is really built, is on those NCAA streams. So if you've thought about it, come check it out tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Trying to drop some videos. May do one later today, may not. We'll see if there's something out there worth talking about. Been talking for an hour and a half, so maybe I won't. Tomorrow we'll try to drop a video early in the morning, and then we will be live at 6:30. Wednesday night show live at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be myself, Dauber, the X Factor will be back in the house. Not sure about JP on that yet, but listen, you guys demand JP all the time. All you OGs, you guys that have been a part of this channel for a long time, love Vols JP. Look, Dauber's going to be at the game on Saturday. Coach Jay's going to be at the game on Saturday. I put up the bat signal. I said, JP, I need you, buddy. I need you on Saturday. I know you don't like it. You get emotional. You overreact, and you don't want to come talk Tennessee football after a loss. but Tennessee's going to beat the brakes off of South Carolina on Saturday, and I need you to come on and talk about it with me. So JP's going to be in the house for the post-game show on Saturday night, so make sure you guys get geared up and ready for that. But that is going to do it for this one, man. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being my wingman. I knew when BBD sent me the text shortly before going live saying he wasn't going to be here, I was like, the chat's got my back. They always have my back. I feed off of you guys. You guys are what make this show what it is. I couldn't do it without you guys. I couldn't sit here and talk for an hour by myself. I need you guys. I feed off you guys. I love you guys. The way you support this channel blows my mind. I'm forever grateful that we get to come on here and talk Tennessee football together. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.